The vile city of Peterborough. If you're required to give your honest assessment of Peterborough, what would be your comments about the city in Cambridgeshire? You see, that'll depend on how much you know about the city and what you would want out of the city. We know some people who would stick their neck out for this city in any bet. So the talk of the vile city of Peterborough does not and cannot go down well with all stakeholders. Now, what about you? Which side of the divide are you? To you, is Peterborough a good place to live? What do you think, imagine or know living in Peterborough to be? This and many more questions will be dealt with in this video. Where is Peterborough? The question is for sure, by the way. Nevertheless, let's just spend some time carrying along those on this channel who may not know as much as we imagine they know about this city. And even you also, don't be too sure that you know all there is to know about Peterborough. Please pay attention to what you'll see in the next few seconds about this city. If you didn't know, Peterborough is a commuter town found outside London within a journey of roughly 50 minutes. We know what you're thinking. Did you say Peterborough is such a famous city, so why describe it to anyone? Kindly let it be and follow along, as there's no harm in reiteration, even to those who know a thing or two about cities in the UK. Several decades ago, it was part of Northamptonshire, but since 1974, it's been ceded to the present county. The Nene River, which flows some 49 kilometres to the northeast, Peterborough is about 122 kilometres from London. We love the city's motto, "Upon this rock I will build my church." However, we wonder if the promise made by the founder of Christianity some 2,000 years ago has any significance in this city beyond an inscription. So people have said Peterborough is the worst city to live in England. Even if at this time we can't agree 100% with them, we can only show you the evidence pointing to the vile city of Peterborough. It isn't a bad smell. There are certainly good sides to the city of Peterborough. To strike a reasonable balance, we have to agree with those promoting the best sides of the city. For example, Peterborough is a diverse city, a multicultural melting pot, and home to an array of cultural centres with unlimited things to do. You'll find some incredible restaurants, such as the former House of Feasts in this city. Not only that, the city is also surrounded and dotted by gorgeous green spaces like Ferry Meadows. There are certainly pretty beautiful parts of the city. The developmental plans currently in place only need to be sustained to their fruition. For instance, the East of England showground sold off for development remains a promise. But then, Peterborough, like every city, has not only its quirks and dodgy streets, but also shining landmarks making residents proud. Many places are beloved by locals. For that reason, they find it convenient to ignore or even embrace the not-so-great parts. We think those parts that are ignored by the locals or embraced despite their flaws are still keeping Peterborough on the list of worst cities to live in the UK. Peterborough in the yesteryear. Let us provide some excuse for the sordid condition of the beloved city. Things haven't always been horrible for Peterborough. Throughout the Middle Ages, it wasn't on a path to becoming a depressing city. When its name was Mead Shamstead, it was originally known, things seemed to be coasting toward a better place. Even after the city's name was changed to Berg, it was perceived as anything but a blemished city. Speaking satirically, we ask, could the current snafu in the city be a result of its changing its name to Peterborough? Oh, we're yet to come across any proof of that. If you have, please don't hesitate to share it with us in the comments section. All we found in its history is that the city has been inhabited for thousands of years, maybe as early as 44 AD. We've heard about archaeological finds from the 1st century that contain numerous references to its original name. Historians believe that it was an Anglican settlement around that time, going by that earliest name. They found that a monastery was once established on the parcel of land granted to a missionary by Peter of Mercia. As mentioned earlier, it was a promising city during Roman civilization and throughout the Middle Ages, when it served as an important centre for ceramic production. The Great Northern Railway line that was opened in 1850 also helped transform Peterborough from a mere market town to an industrial centre. Can you see the prospect the city had in the ancient past? Many of the industries that subsequently found their base in the city included brickmaking, sugar and woodwork. The city even played some roles during the Civil War. but the rise and fall of these industries contributed in no small measure to the current plight of the city. Why Peterborough is a vile city. Today, everything that helps cities and towns to qualify as a crap, dismal, miserable and worst place in the UK has been identified in Peterborough in different proportions. So we have no other choice than to agree that it's one of the worst cities to live in, at least in England. Now, let's talk about some of them. Racism. At this point, we must state that the UK isn't reputable as a racist country, as it's openly against it and is leaving no stone unturned to ensure that the tendency isn't allowed to sprout. However, if you remember the ethnic or racial composition of Peterborough, you'll understand why it and many more cities in the UK still have mutant strains of this cankerworm. As much as 82.5% of the residents of Peterborough are white. Yes, European cities are predominantly white. Peterborough can't be isolated in this regard. However, cities in England are these days continually becoming multiracial and multicultural. But the sheer number of subtle hate crimes being perpetrated against the increasing number of blacks and Hispanics thronging the country and finding their way to the city betrays the prevalence of racism in Peterborough. For this reason, the city deserves its slot on the list of the worst places to live in England, especially for non-whites. Crime. The overall crime rate in Peterborough is appalling. Put side by side with the national average, you'll agree without hesitating that Peterborough isn't a good place to live. Apart from crimes induced by racial prejudice, gangs and violence are increasing the rate of crime in the city. Let's check the data for only 2021 for the purpose of this video. The average crime rate was 89 crimes per 1,000 in Peterborough, putting it among the top 20 most dangerous out of 262 villages, towns and cities in the county. After dark, many of its streets are no-go areas as they are more dangerous than average places. Consider the crime rate in 7 parts of Peterborough that were listed as the worst places to live in the county of Cambridgeshire as of August 2022. Millfield topped with 773 crimes. Fengate follows with 685 crimes and New England with 603 crimes. Next is Paston, which witnessed 398 crimes, followed by New Fletton, which recorded 358 crimes. The 6th position goes to Walton, which experienced 316 crimes, while Newark is the 7th. City Centre. The city centre of Peterborough has nothing to write home about. For a city with such a centre, the cost of living ought to be more than 100% lower than what it currently is. Such a drab city has some shops and food places which are largely outdated. Other activities in the city are limited. Yes, there's a golf course which recently opened. It only reduces the standard of living, if at all it does anything to the city. Anyone walking on the streets of a city as ancient as Peterborough would expect to see aesthetics in architecture. But the city is architecturally and culturally horrible. Maybe the presence of the cathedral and the centre around it can be an exception to this assertion. Otherwise, the average shopping opportunities in the city have been hampered by the disproportionately huge amounts of unsightliness in the city. When compared to other places, you'll find that the trees running through the streets distinctly lack greenery. If you're caught mindless, you can mistakenly assume that you're visiting during the winter months due to the pretty grey you'll see. Please, let's continue this discussion by addressing the question we raised in the beginning. We now request your honest assessment of Peterborough. Kindly share it as you volunteer your comments. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell.